Wrigley Field was a complete mud pit. Players were slipping and sliding everywhere. Everyone except number 40, who just glided through defenders like they were smoke. What he did that day was pure magic, but here's what's insane. That wasn't even his greatest game. His teammates called him Magic. You know him as Gale Sayers. When the Bears drafted him 4th overall in '65, they knew he was good, but they didn't know how good. But they found out when he started breaking rookie record after rookie record. Sayers was confident from day one.
Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need.
This kid from Kansas had been turning heads since college. That's where the Kansas Comet burned Nebraska for a 99-yard TD run.
He's cut on the goal line, gets away at the 5, the 10, he's still racing, they go all the way, the 30, 35, 40, he's all the way, the 40, 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Gale Sayers!
Setting an NCAA record. The play wasn't a fluke. Dude was putting up crazy numbers in college. Over 4,000 total yards in 3 seasons. The guy also held the Nebraska State High School long jump record at 24 feet 10 inches, a record that stood for 44 years. This explains those impossible cuts and his ability to float by defenders. College was the warm-up. When the Kansas Comet hit Chicago, he broke rookie record after rookie record. His rookie season was straight ridiculous. Sayers led the league in total touchdowns with 22 TDs, 14 rushing, 6 receiving, and 1 each on punt and kickoff returns. He started to show why the NFL would honor him in a way no other player has ever achieved, but more on that later. Nearly 60 years later, no rookie has even come close to breaking that record. Making it even more incredible, he did it in just 14 impressive games, not the 17 games rookies get today. Sayers averaged over 162 yards per game from scrimmage. George Halas, the Bears owner, couldn't believe what he was seeing. I don't remember seeing a rookie back who was as good. In Week 5 against Minnesota, Sayers had maybe his best rookie game. He scored a rushing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns, and returned a kickoff 96 yards for a TD, all in the same game.
Watch him. He's got the moves, and he is off for that goal line. Coast to coast on 96-yard touchdown run.
Only 2 other players in NFL history have pulled off that exact combination. Tyreek Hill in 2016 and Dion Lewis in the playoffs in 2017. Gale not only had talent, he had an opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, here's one that could change your game. December 12, 1965 is when Sayers changed from great player to legend. Here's the rest of the story about that muddy mess from the beginning of our story. San Francisco came to Wrigley Field, and the rain and warm weather created a complete disaster. The field turned into a complete mud pit. Players were slipping and sliding all over the place. They left long skid marks in the dirt like they were sledding. Everyone except the Kansas Comet. He looked like he was gliding. I mean, the field was muddy. Everybody was slipping and sliding except him. Teammate Mike Ditka recalled, "First TD was an 80-yard screen pass. Sayers caught the ball behind the line and took off. Defenders were grabbing at air. He danced through them like they were tackling dummies. Then he went nuts, leaping over defenders, making guys miss in impossible spaces, breaking away for long runs where nobody could get close. 6 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 1 receiving, 1 punt return. In a mud bowl where nobody else could stay on their feet, he racked up 113 rushing yards on just 9 carries and finished with 336 total yards in the mud. His final score was an 85-yard punt return. Magic caught the ball at his own 15, cut right, then cut back left across the entire field. Nobody could catch him in that dirt." Mike Ditka called it probably the greatest single game in the history of the game. "I can still see the 49ers sloshing around in the dirt. It seemed like everyone was slipping but me," Sayers said years later. Dick Butkus practiced against him every day. Even Butkus couldn't wrap his head around it. He had this ability to go full speed, cut, and then go full speed again right away. I saw it every day in practice. We played live and you could get a clean shot on Gale. Not happening. Butkus was the most feared linebacker in football, saying he couldn't tackle Magic in practice. Butkus would come flying in for what looked like a sure tackle. Sayers would slide away like he was made of smoke. Steve Sable from NFL Films put it perfectly. Trying to tackle Gale Sayers was like trying to catch a candy wrapper in a windstorm. What made him different wasn't speed. speed. Lots of guys were fast. It was how he could stop and start without losing any speed. Other runners had to slow down to cut. Sayers would hit the brakes and explode in a new direction at full speed. He had great blocking, but also great vision. Sayers knew where the blockers were lined up. "Once I got that open space, get out of my way," he explained. "I like to run, period. I knew that if you gave me the ball, I was gonna make a touchdown," he said with simple confidence. Off the field, Sayers was the opposite of flashy. Quiet, humble, always crediting his blockers, but give him 18 inches of daylight, Magic was putting up numbers nobody had seen. In '66, he rushed for over 1,200 yards and had 2,440 total yards, both league records at the time, averaging over 30 yards per kickoff return, which is still an NFL record today. Then November 10th, 1968 happened. San Francisco again. Kermit Alexander came in with a clean tackle. His knee exploded. I saw his eyes sort of glass over. I heard him holler. I knew he was hurt, recalled Gary Lyle, the teammate nearest to him. His whole knee was destroyed. Everything was shredded. Doctors worked on him that same night. This was different from how they handle injuries today. Back then, that kind of damage meant you were done. What made it worse? 1968 was arguably his best season before that injury changed everything. I'll never forget the afternoon of the first injury, which resulted by a clean tackle by Kermit Alexander of the 49ers. When Kermit came to the dressing room and said how sorry he was that it happened, that showed what a great man he was, Sayers noted. Gale's roommate, Brian Piccolo, wasn't about to let his teammate give up. These two had made history in '67 as the first black and white roommates in NFL history. They couldn't have been more different. Gale was quiet and focused. Piccolo was this loud Italian kid from West Forest who wouldn't stop cracking jokes. My first 2 years, he wasn't fun to be around. Brian would tick you off because he always had a joke. It wasn't my nature to be that way, so I guess I didn't like it at first, Gale explained later. When Gale was lying in that hospital bed, wondering if he'd run again, Piccolo was right there daily. Piccolo pushed the injured star through brutal rehab when nobody believed a comeback was possible. Piccolo would drive him to the gym and stay with him through the workouts. Brian would crack jokes when the pain got bad. Piccolo refused to let him feel sorry for himself. Nobody saw this coming. In '69, Sayers didn't just return, he dominated. Sayers led the entire NFL in rushing with 1,032 yards and won Comeback Player of the Year honors. The same knee the doctors thought would end his career carried him to his best rushing season. I know with my knee injury I didn't have the type of medical technology we have today. If I could have had what we had now, I probably could have been back out in 3 months. I didn't have that, he explained. Then Sayers faced something no comeback could fix. Late in that same '69 season, right when Sayers was proving he was back, Piccolo got diagnosed with cancer. The guy who'd helped him fight through his injury was now fighting for his life. At the George S. Hallis Courage Award ceremony in May 1970, Sayers did something that left the entire room speechless. Instead of talking about his comeback, he gave the whole thing to Piccolo. Brian has the heart of a giant and that rare form of courage that allows him to kid himself and his opponent, cancer. Brian has the mental attitude that makes me proud to have a friend who spells out the word courage 24 hours a day, every day of his life. I love Brian Piccolo, and I'd like all of you to love him too. 3 weeks later, in June 1970, Piccolo passed. Their friendship was powerful. Sayers wrote about it in his book, I Am Third. This became the 1971 TV movie Brian's Song. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Still one of the most powerful sports movies ever made. Sayers played 2 more seasons, but only managed 4 total games. In 1970, another knee injury ended his season after just 2 games. In 1971, he tried one more comeback, but an ankle injury cut short his season again after 2 games. The combination of brutal knee injuries and losing his closest friend broke something inside of him. Sayers retired at 28, an age when most running backs are just entering their prime. What made our story even worse? The Bears drafted 2 elite NFL icons back-to-back, Sayers and Dick Butkus. But Hallis wouldn't spend the money to build around them. They never got to show what they could do in the playoffs. The Bears only had 1 winning record with both Hall of Famers, 2 legends who never got their shot at January because ownership was too cheap to surround them with talent. Mike Ditka watched his entire career and reflected on Sayers. He was simply the greatest player I've seen. That's right, the greatest. Coming from a Hall of Fame player and coach, that means something. In 1977, Sayers became the youngest player to get into the Hall of Fame at 34. This record still stands. When the NFL picked their 75th anniversary team, they put Sayers as two different spots, halfback and kick returner. He is the only NFL player to ever make the team at multiple positions. If you wish to see perfection as a running back, you had best get a hold of a film of Gale Sayers. He was poetry in motion. His like will never be seen again, George Halas said when he presented Sayers for enshrinement. Sayers didn't want to be recalled for football, though. I don't care to be recalled as the man who scored 6 touchdowns in a game. I want to be recalled as a winner in life. Sayers started businesses, ran charities, and helped kids in Chicago. Athletes as role models and heroes is a hoax, he reflected later in life. Men and women who are fighting in Iraq, they are the true heroes. For 4 healthy seasons, Magic was as close to superhuman as football gets.